Welcome everyone. This is another episode of Unfiltered Talks powered by Accolades. We are here with Bilal Javed, BOD member and a player in the WMCB region. I know last year BOD had a challenging few years in regards to ANCL coming in. What was the BOD's role?
This stemmed from WMCB's former president looking for grounds for WMCB and the BOD questioning the issuing of permits to the president. When you are a president of a league or a BOD member, you're representing close to 1,000 people. When you have that power, any resources should only apply to the people you're representing. You get those resources, apply for permits in the name of WMCB, then one day say, because I worked hard to acquire those permits, I will start my own league. And
Was it out of spite or just haphazard?
multiple parties involved.
Yeah.
I was part of the board of directors. Our goal was to save the league. It seemed more like destruction.
When you say save, what does that mean? Somebody threatening to cancel the league?
The premise of starting a new league was that they take away the current teams playing in WMCB and start their own league. Similar to how WCL disassociated and WMCB was formed. This time, it was more so that WMCB's resources, WMCB's name was utilized to acquire certain fields. And then those resources were used to form a separate league. In purview, WMCB teams would side with the newly formed league and WMCB would disappear.
But you did say that when WMCB was formed, there was WCL. WMCB didn't take the resources away, but it still justified themselves to say, this existed, so give me more resources. They're not adding resources. Is that the main issue?
In the past, if you are a new team joining a league, you bring a ground with you. That ground becomes a weapon because the team can say, I'm not happy playing for you. I have this ground. I'm interested in another league. Because the permit is under my name, I can just up and leave, and that will cripple the league because you are then taking that resource away. When WMCB was the former president, his idea was brilliant to avoid that conflict. What the league should do is get the permits of those fields under the league's name, not a personal. The league can associate certain teams to those grounds, but ultimately they become league's property, not a team's property. But we didn't realize that the person getting permits in the league's name would just up and leave and start another league.
It doesn't seem like there's a viable option for the league. The county only interacts with a singular entity.
The former president of WMCB should have informed the board because ultimately board is the governing body and would have made his intentions clear that he is acquiring these grounds under his name for his teams. If he was starting his own league, he should have made those intentions clear rather than using the league's resources.
But when we keep saying the league's resources,
if you're president, go to Fairfax County and say, hey, I am president of the league. I represent 1,000 people. I'm interested in getting a permit for a ground. You are acquiring it in WMCB's name. But once you get the permit, you say, I'm not going to associate with WMCB. I have the permit. Now I can play for another league or start my own league. So you're using league's resources in the sense that you're using league's representation. Does that make sense?
it's dicey.
There is a big conflict of interest. As a board member, one thing I floated the idea is if you are part of an executive committee or if you're part of a board for WMCB or WCL, you get exposure to many things. We should have a conflict of interest statement that you cannot be a part of any other league for at least 5 years because of your association with so many people. That's my undertaking because today the exposure, the knowledge, what I have, I can utilize it under the league's name and start my own league tomorrow. Because this area is small, you have limited availability of cricket grounds. If I'm a leader, I should focus on a proper turf cricket ground rather than small grounds. If I'm starting a league, I should bring in all turf wickets, proper side screens, excellent conditions.
Broadcasting level ground.
You have 2,000 people interested in playing. But if you're not changing the product and you're doing the same thing, that's just not.
Putting a different wrapper.
You can have 5 leagues in this area. How does that benefit cricketers? The level of competition goes down if you have a playing pool in WCL and give them options with incentives, they'll go where there is bigger
Better
incentives.
product.
I don't know if I agree with you on the better product, because the product is the cricket competition.
Players have 3 options now rather than 2. In a free market, that's better, right? You have more options. The playing conditions, playing levels, that's up to the players. But it's better to have 3 products rather than 2. If you have a better product, it seems all the same.
And
How is WMCB positioning themselves to be the leader and resource?
so you played in both the leagues, in WCL and in WMCB. Historically, you started young. Where WMCB primarily played by local players. Not much influx of international players, and WMCB has a rule, only have I think 1 or 2 players that have played professional cricket in your team.
Okay.
If you are a Premier Division WCL team, 3-4 years ago, you had 7 or 8 paid players that would come in and play. Obviously, everyone is going to say there is no proof that these are not paid players, but if you've played international cricket and you're in the US primarily for playing cricket, when playing with 7 or 8 paid professional players and competing with local guys, you're not going to beat them because they're professionals. People primarily are weekend cricketers. It will be raw of luck, you end up beating them, but that's rare. WMCB is different. It allows local talent from Virginia and Maryland. It's a family environment. You compete against the same competition, win or lose, you get satisfaction. WMCB is great because it allows players to flourish and showcase their skill set.
WMCB bringing new grounds.
Pratik is doing a fantastic job. He's very passionate about the sport. He has good knowledge and understanding. He's been on the executive committee for a long time and doing good work. I think he has things in the pipeline that he will share with the league either mid or late this year. The problem is bringing a new ground can take up to 2 years, not because the ground is not available, but it's just that to get permits from the county time. But he's doing good work. He's very vocal, the jolly person, sometimes intense.
We had a podcast with Pratik about a private fund exploring options. I don't know which episode, but I think that he was excited about the possibility because we want to raise the standard. The conversation is about better facilities.
At the end of the day, if you're playing cricket at a competitive level, you've represented the US, you want resources close to that international standard, right? If we are playing on green tops, cemented wicket and a carpet on it, it's just one true bounce. That does not happen in international cricket.
Correct.
You don't get to seam the ball, you don't get to swing the ball, it's just one true bounce, and once you get the hang of it, that's easy. If you're a batsman, once you understand how much pace somebody is bowling at, then you can just place it. Because we have players that have represented the US, their level of competition will not improve because we're not providing them the facilities. It doesn't matter whether you are a newly formed league, you are oldest WCL or WMCB. You're providing them the same infrastructure. Ultimately, you're weekend cricketers. You outshine others because you're more talented. How can you showcase your talent? By showing your skill set on different wickets. You are matting, but that does not give you the true turf feeling, right? So if we want to do better for the league, I think whoever is doing it, the focus should be get a cricket field with proper turf wickets, and then see how players are scoring runs or taking wickets. That's a true skill set. There's a lower bounce, the ball skids, multiple things come into place.
That's awesome. Our sister league, brother leagues on the hard tennis side, they have blossomed in the last 5 years with the best infrastructure.
That's a different product. You have hard ball, leather ball, hard tennis, and hard tennis is different because players primarily just play hard tennis. It's shorter, doesn't require much equipment, just a cricket.
But how are they able to procure better infrastructure? In the last 5 years, the best infrastructure has belonged to those leagues.
I think my speculation is they're more organized. They have a bigger playing pool.
What does that mean, more organized? I thought we were organized.
Organized in a sense that they represent a wider population. If we only have 1,000 playing leather ball, there are 3,000 playing hard tennis. Their pool is bigger. The game lasts a couple of hours. You're not spending your whole weekend. Whereas if you're playing leather ball, you're spending at least 7-8 hours on the field. They get more incentives if a hard tennis league in Loudoun County You can present your case and say, we have 4,000 interested. We want 10 cricket fields. And they'll listen to them more than in comparison to if somebody goes in for leather ball, which is actual cricket, and we have a player pool of 1,000. If players are interested in hard tennis, they get more choices.
Sure.
There isn't a lot of maintenance for hard tennis. Just lay out a wicket and that's it. There's fun, no hard tennis World Cup or hard tennis USA representation. To compete, you have to play leather ball.
If given a free hand and one rule change, what would it be?
This is my dream. I've played cricket here a long time. Started in 2005 in WMCB. If I had the opportunity, I would create 4 or 5 top-level turf wickets, showcase talent, and have the league. The only thing that a league would just do the management, make sure that the grounds are taken care of, pitches are laid out, rolled, and maintained. Good competition, day-night games, day games, T20, 40 overs. You bring that players who are talented, you bring them together, and then you have a league infrastructure where they're competing in high-intensity games. If I could, that would be something I would do.
What would you do from a rule change perspective in the bylaws of cricket?
You don't have an influx of bringing in players who are of a higher caliber because we put a limit on them. But if I could, I would limit it throughout the leagues. Just one person that is of a higher caliber, they've played international cricket, they have the exposure to one person per team. So the competition is even, and then you have other teams be able to allow an international player in their team, but just one.
Any rule changes, BOD for this year?
Nothing. Rules stay in place because there are playing conditions, players' behavior on the field. Otherwise, nothing significant.
Or you were to combine cricket and something, what would it be?
Cricket is unique. The captain plays a significant role. In the US, compared with other American sports, you have coach playing a significant role, whether it's American football, baseball.
Brady versus Belichick.
The coaches are relaying messages to their quarterbacks, and then they're following it. The coach's role is critical. In cricket, the captain is calling the shots on the ground because you have to make quick decisions.
NFL is making quicker decisions. They have taken the decision-making off-field.
They're advanced. They use data analytics. They have all the players marked. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? When they huddle, they get the message from the coach outside. In cricket, if your bowler is getting hit, you are the captain. Your bowler is getting hit 3, 4, 5 fours, and he's coming under pressure and he started bowling wides. The coach outside will not be able to do anything. You are the captain, thinking, I have to defend this score. My bowler is getting whacked. Who am I going to bring in next? The coach is not going to tell you. Should you bring a spinner because the batsman is struggling against a spinner, or your ace fast bowler? So those are quick decisions you make as a captain on the field. In other American sports, you have help. The coach can say, you get a timeout. You bring your players back, somebody is tired, it's tough. Ideally, we would say baseball because it's similar to cricket, but the coaches play a significant role. Even if you are a baseball pitcher, you get instructions from your coach and they use hand gestures. From that aspect, the captain doesn't have that role. Cricket is unique in that way.
What sport would you say? What would you say is cricket X?
I'll go with American football. The intensity is similar to cricket. You have one-on-one matchups. In football, it's quarterback versus quarterback, and then you have your team that gels together.
Correct.
So if we are talking about matchups, then cricket, you have your best batsman and then your best bowler from the opponent's team. Everyone else becomes secondary. If the batsman is dominant, he's whacking the bowler for 4s and 6s, and the bowler is under pressure. Similar to American football, you have one quarterback dominating and a strong defense. So that would be my concern.
Going back to the NFL, do you think cricket should have the captain maybe wear like a watch or something and gets the messages there?
In 1999, South Africa's former captain had an earpiece in the World Cup. ICC banned it. Personally, I think it would confuse me because I'm getting bombarded with instructions from outside. You don't know what's happening inside.
You would not have power to make decisions.
I think it will just completely change the dynamic. For instance, let's say you're a batsman and you have an earpiece. Right?
In your helmet or something.
And then the coach says, defend that ball. You are facing the bowler and it's a juicy full toss. You can't defend that. You're going to go for a 6
Yeah.
and get out. The coach will say,
I told you.
but then what do you do?
Ooh.
How many times are you going to stop yourself from hitting a 6 on a full toss? There are so many variables in cricket.
FIFA soccer has not changed their rules. It's still manager based, the strategy, but it's still not like an earpiece. Every single play is run. It's just more player based.
They might have tried, but there are so many nuances in cricket. It will be cumbersome.
I would think DRS would go out of picture. People would be like, take that.
Or they can have their own DRS for each ball. This is not
Recently, I noticed they don't go to the third umpire anymore. They just get the decision and be like, all right, you're gone, buddy.
because they show replays right away. The teams have 12 seconds to make a decision whether they're going for DRS
Yeah.
or not. I think it was Pakistan cricket team. They were looking at the coach and he was giving gestures. to
Did
take
all
the
sorts
DRS
of
or not.
creative
So
ways.
when I was growing up, it was one-day cricket and test matches. The T20 changes cricket. T20 is fast, 3 hours and done. But then you have T10. Super fast. Once the game slips out of your hand, no
The
way.
strategy changes.
T20 gives you chances to make a comeback. T10 is so fast that once it's out of your hands, it's
Out of it, yeah.
The captain still has to make decisions. The pitch conditions on the camera and what in real life is two different things.
What if what you're seeing could be the AI glasses the batsman could be wearing? Then the coach is technically seeing the same thing the batsman is seeing,
Could be a
right?
reality.
What's the boundary? If you have technology once, no stopping.
True.
Think about AI tracking. If you're a batsman, the AI is tracking the ball and telling you in real time.
If I have virtual glasses and I'm playing a game, the bowler is 100 miles an hour. But with these glasses, if they give you that extra tiny second, that's enough to get into position and hit a shot. I think that would be fun.
Every time we think about evolution of cricket, we get so batsman friendly. Give something to the bowlers.
Everyone wants entertainment. Nobody.
Taking wickets or low scoring, it's tough. The bowlers should have some edge as well.
I come from a ball cricket. What mattered was how many sixes I hit. It doesn't matter if you're a bowler. What matters is okay, how many runs you scored. If you hit 3 or 4 sixes and you're a good batsman. People want to see 6s, 4s. It's a batsman.
You're a batsman at heart.
Fun, but
Wickets or hitting 4 6s in a over in a hard ball.
take 6s.
6s. The middle of the bat hits different.
Yeah, I think, and no, it's just different mindset.
It's different.
But I think going back to your point,
Yeah.
the reason we have a lot of finger spinners is because of the cricket rules. The only tear-away fast bowler is Mark Wood from England, consistently in 150s. You don't have any other bowler consistently in the 150s. Then you're Bumrah. But I don't know, I could be wrong. But he's not consistently into the 140s range. But his accuracy and line and length is good. But if you look in the world, you only see Bumrah as the bowler who can win you the game by himself. You don't see that anymore. In the 90s or 2010s, you had Dale Steyn. I asked one of our international players, he said, if I'm a sponsor and I have sponsored a cricket event for 5 days and I want the ads to run for a test match and the test match finishes in 2 days, what is the value? I lost 3 days. Sponsors are saying, hit 6 sixes and I'll give you X amount of money. You involve the audience and the smaller cricket grounds, 60-yard boundaries.
Yep.
Where can a fast bowler go? Even an edge will go for a 6. You can have fast bowlers going 4 over 60 runs in IPL games, but still get whacked for boundaries. Unless you allow the bowler to bowl bouncers at will. You have one bouncer allowed in an over. The batsmen are so innovative now that even a bouncer, they can just,
With the bouncers,
you've played that
Yep.
shot. The techniques and the whole scoop thing, it's just crazy.
We have a new structure in our league in regards to the premier teams. I believe for their top 8 or top 10. How many teams are there now?
It's top 10.
DC is going through turmoil. If you have not tuned into American politics, please don't. If you have, you're hearing job cuts, layoffs. Off camera, we were talking about how to play cricket. Cricket is a happy place for most people. In DMV, it's a really escape mechanism.
Yep.
And now with all of this anxiety around town, thoughts?
In 2018, I got laid off. It was September, and I had a game the following weekend. When I got the notice that I am getting laid off, it was a shock to me because For somebody who's been working and then you have that happen, it changes the way you think. You have so many different thoughts, how to run your household, your bills, all of that. That whole financial independence comes into question. I was like, I'm gonna enjoy that game. I ended up scoring 80 runs.
Humble brag.
I got nothing to lose. I don't have a job anymore. I'm here to play cricket and score runs. My message to anyone listening, if you got laid off, cricket is your escape. Enjoy. These hours completely tune out. If you're a batsman, enjoy batting. If you're a bowler, enjoy bowling. If you are with the team, forget everything. We work 5 days a week, 9 to 5, sometimes longer. So why not escape, go out and have fun?
This anxiety looming over, we have great camaraderie in our league.
Players are intertwined. Everyone knows everyone. If somebody is in need and they have that skill set, that whole referral thing comes into play. So players do that. People have reached out to me and vice versa. We are there to play, have fun, see our friends on the cricket ground. Sometimes we don't intermingle socially. We play and then come back. If you are in a situation, speak up. If you need help, nobody's going to read your face. Say, I'm looking for a job. Put your name out there and say, I got laid off, help me out.
It happens.
Exactly. And if you get laid off one time, it doesn't mean you won't get laid off again. Prepare yourself, plan for the best, hope for the worst. On a personal note, that layoff that I had in 2018, I think that's the best thing that happened to me. The 3 months that I was unemployed was difficult, but the learning lessons that I got and the skill set that I acquired in that time frame really helped me. It pivoted my career into something completely different.
That's how it goes sometimes. Now, looking at the matchups, the WMCB T20 Championship for 2025 is starting on Saturday, 22nd of March. The first game is at 2 p.m. for the Premier Division, and the first game is BRSS and Underdogs Cricket Club. Thoughts?
BRSS is Baltimore Royals, formerly Columbia, Potomac. So Rajat Pasi and his crew parted ways with WCL. They were forfeited a few games and they were not able to come back to WCL. So now they've brought all the resources into WMCB. So there will be a really packed team. Rajat Pasi runs this ship and he's a competitive guy. I think they will probably have an upper hand over Underdogs.
SS is the winner in the first game. Second game is United CC and Crescent CC.
United historically, Crescent and United matchups are always close. If Ronak Sharma is in the US, United would be formidable. If not, it could be a close game. United has an upper hand, but Crescent may surprise them.
Lucky for United CC, he moved to the USA.
Ronak Sharma. United will have an upper hand.
United CC for the next game, Toronto CC and Washington CC.
Toronto is going through changes. Rising Stars folded, so their players joined Toronto Tigers. Washington beefed up their team, but Toronto Tigers has a habit of batting collapses. Washington is an older team, used to challenging conditions. I would say Washington will probably have an upper hand.
WMCB President Pratik picked Washington CC to win.
There are a lot of strong teams I had to watch out.
BRSS versus DC Tigers.
This will be a good game. If I want to watch any game, I think it will be this game. WMCB, historically, DC Tigers, formerly the Lions. Deepak has done a good job bringing DC Tigers players together. The cream of DMV, local players, they play in DC Tigers. It's such a strong team. You beat DC Tigers, you can win a championship. From player 1 to player 11, they don't give up. So you can't have DC Tigers as a runover. BRCC, BRSS, formerly Potomac, so they are the equivalent of DC Tigers of WCL. So this will be cream of WCL versus WMCB. I think DC Tigers will have an upper hand, but it will be a close game.
Nice. W for DC Tigers. Definitely a close, competitive game. Next one is Afghan Cricket Club of USA versus Washington.
The Afghan Cricket Club is not the same that plays in WMCB. They call their secondary team in WMCB. Nile runs this and has young kids, very talented, but falter under pressure. Washington being the oldest team, I would say they have an upper hand.
Afghans around DMV region have beefed up their teams, winning championship games.
No, but it was the first time that Afghan won championship in WCL. They've yet to win any competition in WMCB at the elite level. What I like about Afghan is the whole crowd that comes with them. They're very involved and passionate. It's not just talent, but commitment and the way you play your game. They could be a force, but It depends.
Wow. My debut was against Afghanistan's national team. Next game is Underdog CC, Cricket Club versus United CC.
Underdogs rely heavily on Tokir Khan. If he's in full flow, they have a game. Otherwise, one person cannot win. You need at least 4 or 5 Tokir Khans in underdogs to win you the game. United, yeah, they have an upper
Looking
hand.
powerful. Crescent versus Toronto.
That's a local matchup.
Yeah.
Crescent has a problem where their batting falters under pressure. They can have a good start and then comes crashing down. And then same goes with Toronto. On a given day, it will depend on who plays bad. But if I were a betting man, I would say Crescent has an upper hand.
Next game, Crescent versus Washington.
When I was managing Crescent back in 2021, there is some rivalry against Washington because we beat them in 40 overs. And then the finals, it was just completely one-sided. Just Washington faltered and were out on 70 runs. If Washington comes with intensity, they may come under pressure again. And Crescent may have an upper hand because they've won a championship over Washington.
Big prediction. Next game, BRSS versus Afghan.
BRSS.
Few teams we didn't talk about. DC Royals.
DC Royals is no longer part of the elite division. They swapped with Afghan. DC Royals voluntarily went to the lower division. They won't be playing in elite. Z Sports also depends on the availability of their players because sometimes their main players are not available because they have a collision with either WCL or other leagues. The problem with Z Sports is they play too aggressive too fast and they lose 4 or 5 wickets in the first 7-8 overs. If they can contain their wickets in the beginning, it could be anyone's game.
Focus on United CC versus DC Tigers.
So there is rivalry between United and DC Tigers. On paper, United CC has a stronger team. In reality, DC Tigers always has an upper hand. And it doesn't matter, it could be Juicy when two use Adil or Akash scoring runs. Somehow, somebody from DC Tigers stands up and wins the game. United, on the other hand, I think, in my opinion, they only win the games where DC Tigers has either not their full squad available or they just do poorly on the field, which is a low-scoring game.
Ooh.
And then United also still gets competition, so very tough. But I would say DC Tigers has an upper hand over.
DC Tigers lose the game themselves.
That's reality.
Next game is Afghan CC and United CC.
The CC,
United
I mean,
CC.
United is not easy to beat.
BRSS and Washington.
That could be a good competition because Prateek, you were formerly BRSS, but if they bring in their full talent pool, they will have an upper hand over Washington.
We are left with the top 3 teams, BRSS, United CC, and DC Tigers. Who is your winner?
If I'm a betting man for WMCB, DC Tigers hands down because they have consistently performed. They've won so many trophies. They will be the top team to win a championship. United is catching up, but United is still not there somehow. The way DC Tigers plays under pressure, other teams falter. I'll be interested in seeing BRSS and see what level of competition they bring. I think the first couple of games we'll see how they play. These are different cricket grounds, different playing conditions. It may take BRSS some time to adjust. We'll see.
All right, so DC Tiger for the T20 Championship, we will be doing more weekly picks, talking about matchups, different teams, deep diving into players, performances, stats, highlights. Tune in. If you were to come up with a slogan, WMCB president said he wants to make WMCB great again. Do you agree with that slogan?
I think this slogan is just, personally, I don't think it means anything. If I could have great cricket infrastructure that this region deserves, see how the talent pool that we have, how it shines in the international arena. So make cricket great again.